Hi everyone, welcome to another ACR Radio. This week we're talking to Nick Morgan from Creative Pie Films. Nick is possibly one of the most excitable guests that we've had on the show, which I'm sure he won't mind us saying because it was infectious talking to him. He is a really super nice guy. He's got such a good story. He's one of the few people that we've met that honestly sounds like he loves every minute of what he does. He created Creative Pie Films with a friend of his, Dean, and they just the projects that they have, the work that they do is exceptional. He loves every minute of it. Like I mentioned, we talk about all different kinds of things on the show, like what got him into video in the first place, from going to university and doing it, going to tutor it, and kind of getting involved in that element to bringing on Creative Pie Films. We also talk about working with Rob Schneider, maybe Berry, his dream project, if there is one, if he's already done it. And then we go on to talk about how he actually runs his business, the way him and Dean, they bounce off each other, they support each other, they push each other, and interesting conversation about anxiety versus adrenaline, both being the same, both giving you the same emotions, and it's kind of you get on with it and you do it with one, or you kind of suffer with the other. So really good talk with Nick. Like I said before, super nice guy. Just take a listen to the show and you'll find it too. He's really excitable and really, really funny. So here it is. ACR meet Nick Morgan. Okay, so this week on the show we've got Nick Morgan of Creative Pie Films. Nick delves into video. We're going to chat some more about different kinds of content, music video, movie production, all this kind of stuff. We want to give Nick massive thanks for coming on the show and taking the time to talk to us today. So Nick, welcome to the show. And do you want to do a bit of an intro into what Creative Pie is all about?
Yeah, no worries. So, thanks first of all for having me on the show. It's great. I think what you're doing is great, Brad.
Thank you.
And out of all the ones, sort of, I'm seeing you on LinkedIn all the time posting about this podcast, and I thought I've got to be part of something that exciting. So, thanks again for having me. Yeah, so Creative Pie Films is a video production company that's based in Birmingham. However, we work remotely, really, and we work everywhere. And we've in the last sort of 3 years, we've done everything from filming tanks to healthcare to bikes to finance to Rob Schneider to Mary Berry. So we've done all sorts of stuff. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. So I'm happy to sort of answer all your questions today.
Perfect. So the first one is probably the most obvious one. That what is it about video in particular over photo or other elements of design and content that made you want to create Creative Pie Films?
Oh, okay. Well, a long time ago in 2001, I sort of did a HND and a degree in video film production. And I've always just loved the moving image, just a little bit too much if you want. So I'm one of those guys where if you sit in a pub, it's going to come around to talking about films and what we've seen on TV straight away. And we're always going to talk about lighting and all the way it's shot, all the narrative and stuff like that. So for me, video works hand in hand with all those other mediums. I don't think it overrides any particular one because people take in stuff through so many different ways now that print still has it, video still has it, photography has it. But essentially, did the course, and then I worked in TV for a bit, and then I taught the subjects at degree level. And then after that, I thought I need to get back into the creative industry. So I've always wanted to use my degree in education as much as I possibly can. I didn't want to do a degree and then never use it. So starting Creative Pie Films allows me to be creative, which is all I ever want to do.
Perfect. Okay, so you just mentioned then, just to backtrack a little tiny bit, that when you're in the pub and you're with your mates and you guys are all into film and all into this TV and the movies and all this kind of stuff, do you find yourself you're more of a critic now, or you look at different elements as opposed to enjoying the medium, or can you still sit back and say, do you know what, that was just epic, everything about it was just...
It's funny because Dean, my business partner, the other half of Creative Pie Films, like we can have in-depth discussions on the way to jobs or whatever, going down the motorway, and we can talk about the same film forever. And we often talk about this. There's a few topics that usually come up every year where we just keep going around the houses on them because there's just so much to talk about. But I became essentially a pain in the arse in 2001 when it came to this sort of stuff, where we used to have this ace lecturer, and he sort of ruined film for us. And he actually said in the first lecture, he's like, I'm going to ruin this for you. He goes, you're going to be a pain in the arse. And we watched the film and we dissected it. And then from then on, whenever we watch something, I'm always just going, that could be better. Oh, that's a bit weak. But the thing is, it's all entertainment. And it's kind of like, sometimes like the other day, I watched Under Siege 2 with Steven Seagal.
Okay.
Don't know why it was on. I thought I'm going to watch that. But then, the latest Blade Runner film was fantastic. There's loads of stuff coming out at the moment that's fantastic. So it's kind of weird. I mean, there's a lot of good TV out there at the moment as well. So there's always something to talk about, but there isn't a lot of gold. That's the problem.
Okay. So when you watch stuff then, do you like, I'm trying to think of it, can you like compartmentalize it, if that in that sense, where you say an 80s film that was cutting edge, for the 90s film that was lame, for a 2000 film you should be doing more with X? Is that kind of how you view cinema?
It's funny, man, because everything's money driven, isn't it? So like every now and then a film will come out and it'll be kind of like, it'll really stand out because it's been a bit daring. I think that was the last one I watched. It was called You Were Never Here, or We Were Never Here. Okay. And it was really interesting because it was just really daring, and the narrative was daring, the way it was shot was really cool, and you could tell that it wasn't made to bring in box offices where, you look at some of the Star Wars films now and they're just appalling. I mean, me and Dean don't get on about this, but I think the new ones are just absolutely terrible. Like, there's some good bits about them, but mostly it's just money grabbing and it's just bad. But yeah, it's weird. We talk about all sorts of aspects, from the narrative to how it's lit to, did you see this, or how do you think they did that? Or it can go off in so many different tangents.
Yeah, there's so much. There's, like you said before, there is so much to talk about. So then the other thing I wanted to ask you then, just to follow up on our first question, was you mentioned Mary Berry and Rob Schneider. So from all the projects you've done, those are kind of big names in the industry. How did they come about, particularly, just to do a bit of name dropping for you?
And I mean, this is kind of like a lesson, not a lesson. It's just to show, this is an example of just how just stuff happens. If you just go for it and just do it, you never know what's going to happen. So Mary Berry was part of a wider project that we did for a National Trust house, and they essentially we were going to go and film this baking thing, like no, it wasn't baking. They knitted. That was it. They knitted the most amount of bunting in the world ever. These ladies did, all volunteers. Wow. So imagine a huge scarf, essentially. Yeah. And they had her come and award the prize, and we didn't know this until a few weeks before, and we were like, uh-oh. And it was our first it was like about 2 years ago now, so we sort of found our feet into and stuff, but you were like, oh no, how's this going to be? And she was absolutely fantastic. I've never known anyone, like, she's so on the ball. Like, she did her bit to camera in one take, and she even said, can I do a retake, because she just wasn't happy with the way she said one word. And jeez. I mean, I'm from Birmingham, so I get, my speech is rubbish. I get words wrong all the time. Yeah. I don't want to do anything again. But with her, she was like, oh no, let's just do it again. And we recorded her, and she was absolutely lovely. And then the Rob Schneider thing was just out of control. That was like, that came around. Believe it or not, he wasn't the one I wanted to work with.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was like Christmas last year, and I was going after I love the comedian Stuart Lee, big time, and I've loved him for years, and essentially I wanted to work with him, and sent an email to someone that I knew who knew him, but weirdly, coincidentally, as that email went to that person, someone else from somewhere else got in touch and said, do you know anyone that can film this? And they went, funny enough, this guy's just got into contact. And before you know it, because I was in a spinning class and I was awaiting to do my spinning class, and I had this answer phone from a guy in Hollywood, and I was like, you joking, man? I was like, what is this? And it was like, hi, this is... It was like, this is a wind up. So when I do my spinning class, I'm always looking at my heart rate. But my heart rate that day was through the roof because I was like, if this isn't a joke, I was like, this is just unbelievable. And at 9 o'clock that night, I was talking to his agent and then him, and we were planning a week-long tour around the UK. So it just shows, man, just don't ever be scared just to throw yourself out there. Don't worry about if you're big enough or whatever. Just do it.
Just do it and see what happens. So is he as crazy as he comes across, or is he, like you said about Mary before, she's like dead laid back, dead chill, dead thing. Rob comes across like manic, but I assume that when he's actually in the planning stages and can you get this, can you get that, it's quite methodical to get them bits in, or is it just a free ride?
It was kind of like, well, we had like a brief, and then from there, I've got to be honest with you, and this isn't just saying this, like the guy was an absolute sweetheart to the point of I can text him now and he'll get back to me.
Wow, okay.
Like, yeah, so it's kind of like he was. I was worried because I was a bit like, because he was talking about Adam Sandler and Chris Rock and his mates and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I was like, this is a real baptism of fire, this one. So we had to hire a sound guy and extra camera support and stuff like that for this project. So it was quite big, and we had to go, and we did 5 UK sort of venues from Leicester Square all the way up to Glasgow. But no, it was cool. It was just. You could have one of these ones where you had a celebrity or whatever, and it could have been a nightmare for 5 days, but it got to the end of the 5 days and we didn't want to see him go.
Yeah.
Really didn't want to see him go. And he was cool. Just a normal person. Like, we went out with him every single night, all around the country, and we had a laugh. And by the end of it, it was just, I hope we do something again with him. I really do, just because I've got on with him on such a personal level, and he's just a really nice bloke. And it's not true about all celebrities. There are some real sweethearts out.
Did you meet him and get starstruck, or did you meet him and think like, I'm just going to make the most of this and let's just go for it?
Well, I'd sort of worked in TV a bit like a while back, a long time ago. So I kind of got used to that weirdness of working with people that you'd seen on a small screen or the big screen now. But now, well, I was more scared about getting the shoot right.
Yeah, he was secondary in the whole grand scheme of it.
And then they were like, we were in like a Chinese restaurant in London, and I was like, right, we've got all the cameras ready, the sound's all mic'd up, everything's ready to rock. Right, all we need to do now is meet Rob, and then he just came down the stairs with his mate who was travelling with, and it was like, no way, it's you. And that was it. And we did that, and we got the first show out of the way, and then we sort of sat down and got to know each other. Oh, actually, no, we didn't. We drove. We finished in London at 11 and had to drive to Glasgow in the same night.
Oh wow!
And my car broke down.
That sounds like a fun time.
My car broke down at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I had to go on 3 low-loader trucks all the way to Glasgow from Preston, which was interesting. But the good thing about it is that every time you test yourself, as soon as that voicemail could have come into us, we could have said, we're not doing this. It's too big. It's too scary. But it just shows, just do it. Just say yes and just figure it out later on, because you will figure it out. Just got to have confidence in yourself. And we don't know what's going to come of that content yet. I mean, we filmed 7-8 hours worth of live footage. So whoever knows what's going to happen with it. But it was great. I want to do it again. Big time.
Nice. So that leads on then really nicely to our next one then about you're saying about all the experience with Rob, the car breaking down, and just kind of like you just have to get in the mixer with it and get knee deep. So has there been a favourite project or a most unique request when someone said, can you come and film X, but we want Y off the back of it? Has anything really like pushed your boundaries, or you've just been in a situation filming and thought, this is exactly why I got into this game, this is exactly where I want to be?
I'm a bit of a junkie for excitement, and sometimes because you've got to remember that excitement and anxiety is the same feeling. So you don't know which one of those two you're going to get. But I kind of like pushing myself into scary places and then figuring it out afterwards. I mean, while I'm in the scary place, I'll be panicked, I'll be a nervous wreck. But then when you come out the other side, you're like, oh, brilliant. So, I mean, Rob Schneider was that project, to be fair with you, where you were like, okay, the rush, the buzz of filming live was so exciting, because we had to do stuff with him leading down to the stage, and you were walking on with him onto the stage and integrating with the audience, and we had one camera right in the audience, so it was just a real buzz, man. It was just wicked, from setting up to tearing it down at night and then going and hanging out with him. And it was just, you look round and you've got your best mate